Yeah, I was profoundly embarrassed and angry and frustrated by this process that went on over these last days.
Days after Congress averted a potentially disastrous government shutdown, senior Massachusetts Senator John Kerry slammed a minority of Republicans during a town hall meeting at Government Center Auditorium.
We're not making decisions in America in our own interest. We got a whole bunch of people gridlocking the country over ideology.
In front of 100-plus people and local politicians, Kerry said that ideological squabbling over issues like Planned Parenthood is handicapping the U.S. as countries such as China and India blaze forward, with 10 to 15% annual growth rates compared to 2% here.
China's brought about 500 million people, twice the size of the United States almost. They've brought them out of the agrarian society and into the urban society. They got another 650 million to go. And they're working on it. Mexico, Brazil, these countries are raging forward. And they're doing the things that we're refusing to do that we ought to be doing.
Kerry talked about money in politics, spiraling debt, the treatment of veterans, and other looming crises, peppering his remarks with some gloomy statistics about America's weakening grasp on global superiority.
40 cents of every dollar that we spend is borrowed. We created the internet. And yet, in the last 10 years, we've gone from number 4 to number 21 in terms of broadband availability. 120 million Americans who work do not get, in total, the amount of wealth that top 0.5% of 1% get.
Some of Kerry's ire was aimed at Republican Paul Ryan, whose proposed budget would privatize Medicaid and Social Security and offer additional tax cuts to the fortunate few who increasingly hold all of America's wealth.
So give the rich a big tax break, and you're going to see a whole lot of that money go overseas, which is exactly what happened last year when $74 billion was taken out of the stock market.
He said that politics had become so depressing that Americans are just tuning out.
It is harder than it has ever been at any time in my life to communicate to Americans. It's all been reduced to conflict and argument and a barrage of ideology.
Kerry fielded questions on youth education programs, the 2012 budget, cost of living allowances, and competing in the world economy. In spite of the dire outlook, he tried at times to find the silver lining.
So that's the biggest thing we can do is rebuild America, infrastructure, energy policy. Those two things will do the most to kick our economy into gear and then keep the innovation coming.
For Waltham Newswatch, this is Chris Wangler.